Picture the Monday after you gave an AI agent real access. Not just a demo, the real thing. Connected to real systems. Allowed to actually do things and execute, not just suggest them. And the agent worked all weekend. No one watched it, because that was the whole point. And now it is Monday morning, and somewhere in a report there is a number that is wrong. Not obviously wrong. The room goes quiet too, because nobody can now answer 3 very simple questions. What exactly happened? When did it start doing it? And the most important one, can we undo it? No one is worried about the model. The model is just doing fine. What people are missing is everything you would take for granted around a person doing the same job. And this exact gap is the whole of today's episode. I want to talk about the pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's simple as that. When you hire a person, there is a whole machine that switches on around them. Before they touch anything real, they get an account with specific permissions. You don't hand them the keys to the whole building. Their work is logged, so there is a record of what they touched. They would start on small stuff a manager can actually check. And there is always a way to reverse a mistake. Someone will notice if they start behaving strangely. Nobody calls that machine bureaucracy. We call it an onboarding process, and we'd never skip it for a human with real access. Then the same organization stands up an AI agent, which in reality functionally is a new hire with real access, and skips every single one of those. No scope permissions, it pretty much inherits whatever the integration had. No log anyone reads, no probation, no undo. No one is watching. We onboarded a digital employee and then forgot to actually onboard it. I want to show you why that gap bites harder with an agent than with a person. A new human hire makes mistakes one at a time, slowly, and usually stops to ask when something feels off. An agent makes decisions in milliseconds, which means it makes mistakes in milliseconds too. Thousands of them before a human looks up. And it never once pauses to think, well, hang on a minute, this feels wrong. They don't queue up politely, waiting to be found. And by the time anyone opens the report, the agent has already moved on. And it has made the same call 100 more times. Each one looking exactly as confident as the last one. Same missing onboarding as a risky human hire. Just running a few thousand times faster, with no instinct whatsoever to stop. So let's define this layer properly. In episode 1, I gave you 5 layers. 5. Governance, clean data, standardized processes, controls, and finally the operating model. Governance decides what the agent is allowed to do. Controls are how you make sure it actually stays inside that line once it's live and moving fast. Governance, on the other hand, is the offer letter and the job description. Controls are everything that keeps a real employee safe on the job. Their access, their paper trail, their probation, the undo button, and the manager who would notice. So forget the word controls for a moment. It actually sounds like paperwork. Every control in this layer is just one thing you would give a new employee on day 1. I have 5 of them for you today. Let me walk you through each one. So 5 controls. Map each one to the human version as I go. The first one is access, the least privilege. When a person joins, they don't get every door in the building. They get the rooms their job needs. An agent should be exactly the same thing. The default failure mode is handing it the permissions of whatever system it's plugged into, which is usually everything. Give it the narrowest access that lets it do the job, and nothing beyond that. If it only needs to read, it should never be able to write. Broad access isn't power. Number 2, audit trail. A record of what it did. A person's work leaves a trail. Who approved this? Who changed that? When did it happen? An agent must leave the same trail. every meaningful action logged in plain language, so that on Monday you can actually answer what did it actually do and when. If the honest answer is we'd have to guess, you don't have an audit trail. You have a black box making decisions in your name. And the log nobody can read is the same as no log whatsoever. The third control, rollback. This is the undo button. A person makes a bad call, you can catch it. You reverse it, no problem. That has to be true of the agents too. Before it goes live, you should already know how you would undo what it does, because it acts fast and in volume. We will figure out how to reverse it later. That means later is a very bad day. If you can't cleanly undo an action, that action probably shouldn't be automated yet. Design the undo before you grant access. The fourth control, monitoring. Someone would notice. With a person, a manager notices if the work suddenly looks off, because an agent runs unattended at a speed. Someone would notice has to be built, not assumed. You set the tripwires, the metric moving too far, this many actions too fast, this kind of decision it is not sure about. Any of those raises a hand automatically. Silence is not the same as safe. Most of the time, silence just means nobody is actually watching. And the fifth one, human in the loop. This is the probation. A new hire doesn't get full autonomy on day one. A manager checks the early work, then loosens the leash as trust is earned. This is exactly how an agent should start as well. Reviewed closely, then gradually trusted as it proves out. Never the reverse, never. And notice the direction of travel, because this is the part people get backwards. The agent earns by being checked and by being right, over and over, until checking it stops telling you anything new. What usually happens instead is that we grant the trust on day one, because the demo was impressive, and then go look for the review process only after something has already gone wrong. And eventually, how much leash you give is a real decision, not a default one. This last one actually deserves a slide on its own. So put a dial on that last control instead of a switch. I want you to think of it as 4 levels of leash. How much this agent gets to do on its own. Level 0, it suggests, but then human decides. Level 1, it drafts, but the human approves before anything happens. Then we move to level 2. The agent acts within set boundaries, and human audits a sample after the fact. And finally, level 3 runs on its own, and the human steps in only when it escalates. Here is the rule that matters. The tier you grant has to match the controls you've actually built. The single most common way this layer actually fails is by granting level 3 autonomy, so you basically let it run free, while you've only built level 0 controls. No real audit, no rollback, nothing to watch. That's not an AI problem. This is an onboarding problem. You gave a brand new hire company checkbook, and then you went on holiday. And the climb is rarely a decision anybody makes on purpose. It happens because the agent is useful, and because asking a human to approve every single action starts to feel a bit like friction. So the approvals get switched off one at a time, quietly, by people who are simply trying to move faster. This is how an organization ends up operating at level 3, without ever having agreed to be there. Start every agent low on the dial, and let it climb one level at a time, as the controls underneath it earn that climb. Okay, I want you to picture the common shape of it. You will recognize it after every single detail is typed out. An organization puts an agent live, with real access, and it works for weeks. It actually works. Everyone is relaxed because it is working. It quietly gets more access and more autonomy. Then a small thing shifts underneath it. The input drifts, an assumption stops holding, and the agent keeps acting confidently. And because nobody scoped its access, nobody is reading a log, and there was never an undo planned. The wrongness runs for a while, before a human even notices. And when somebody finally does notice, the first day isn't spending fixing it, it's spent reconstructing it. Which decisions were the agents? Which were ours actually? When did the drift actually start? And how far back do we have to go? That's the real cost of missing audit trail. Not that you can't unsee what happened, but that you lose days proving what happened before you can even begin to put it right. Don't get me wrong, nothing exploded. It was just a digital employee, over-promoted, unsupervised, doing exactly what it was allowed to do thousands of times. Every gap, there is a missing control. Not one of them is a model. And this is exactly the whole point of this layer. Controls are not there to slow the agent down. They are there so that when it makes a fast mistake, and it will, that fast mistake doesn't quietly become a slow disaster. So I want to give you your Monday morning move. And this costs absolutely nothing, but honesty. Take one AI agent you already have running, or one you're about to switch on, and answer please the 5 onboarding questions out loud. What exactly can it touch? Where is the lock of what it did? How would we undo its last action? What would trip an alarm if it went wrong? And who is actually reviewing it right now? Whichever question you cannot answer cleanly, this is not a nice to have one. This is unsupervised employee with real access. And this is where it starts. Before the next use case, fix the missing controls first. And if you want to run that properly, instead of in your head, there is an AI ready operations assessment in the description. It turns these 5 layers, controls included, into a readiness check. A simple maturity scale from ad hoc to AI ready. So you can actually see in black and white where your weakest link is before you grant a single new permission. The one self-check that matters most here. For your riskiest life agent, could you tell me today, without a meeting, exactly what is allowed to do and how you would undo it? If you hesitate, this is your gap. And don't let the word enterprise put you off. This framework scales all the way down. A freelance project, a script running on your own machine at home, one automation you built for yourself. The moment you actually let AI act instead of just suggest, you still need the same 5 things. Scoped access, a record, an undo, a tripwire, and a human who actually checks. You will not write them down, you don't need to, but essentially you should be able to answer them about your own automation, just as quickly as you would answer them about a system at work. Because on the day it does something you didn't expect, you are the entire operations function. The same layers, just smaller scale. The stakes shrink, but the onboarding doesn't. So essentially this is layer 4. We've done governance, clean data, standardized processes, and now we finalize controls. There is one layer left, layer 5, and this is the operating model. Because a controlled agent still needs someone to own it, fund it, and keep it healthy long after the launch demo. This is how a pilot becomes a capability, instead of just quietly disappearing. If you want to know where your own organization stands right now, the AI Ready Operations Assessment is in the description. It names your weakest link across all 5 before you spend a cent on tooling. And of course, if you would rather go deeper than the check, the full operator library, the playbooks, the handbooks, the courses, all that is linked right below it. Subscribe and I will see you in episode 6. And remember, don't build better AI, build better operations.